Howdy YouTubers. You ever have this problem where your Teflon pan just gets chewed up and scratched over the years and you're tired of going out and buying another Teflon pan just to have it look like this in a couple of years? Well, I have a solution. That's your solution, cast iron. But first, we have to get rid of this annoying thing. So I'll show you what the best thing to do with one of these is. Best thing to do with this, absolute best thing to do with this is a 12-inch. The one I bought's a 10.5, but I have a 12-inch in cast iron, so I don't need another one. But you just do this with it. Into the burn pile. So there's a couple of things. Let's see if I can tip back in here. When you're purchasing one of these pans, I just got this at Walmart. This is their Walmart Ozark Trail brand. As you can see, maybe you can't, 10.5-inch skillet. And the biggest thing is when you get them, usually they'll have a pile of them there, but feel them, you know. See how smooth they are or how rough they are. You know, they're all a little bit different, so you'll find some that are pretty damn rough. Look for little basically little boogers that might be stuck on the sides or in the corners or on the bottom. Where the casting is kind of, clumped up, little chunk of sand or something in there. But what we're going to do, we're out here in the shop, and I have a palm sander. So we're going to take off all the little high spots and sand it down. We're not going to sand it glass smooth. And this is 80 grit, so 80 grit is fine. You're going to fill in all the scratches with oil as you season it, so 80 grit is perfectly fine. I'm going to get that glue off of there, and then I'm going to start sanding, and I'll show you what we are kind of trying to achieve. Well, the person who put the glue on this, they really must hate their job. They stuck it in a little curly Q there. You can see it, and it's so thin, it's hard to get it off of there. I'm peeling it off in little chunks. It's really nice if it's in one big blob. It seems the blobs come straight off without too much work. I'll work on it a little bit more, but yeah, maybe if you have a choice between a couple of them and one's smoother than the other but has it like this, I'd pick the rougher one, actually. I got the majority of it out. It's probably not helping that it's 32 degrees out here today. And then we're just going to sand it. We're not going to sand it until it's completely smooth because that actually makes it harder to season. But we need to take down some of the high spots, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you look at this thing in the light, you can see, it looks like this. It's not smooth at all. It's pretty rough. The goal will be to knock some of the tops off of these so they won't be as high. We just kind of knock the high spots off. And then what we'll end up doing is coming back, and as we season it, we'll fill in all these little spaces. So we'll end up with a nice, smooth, flat surface that will be, the surface will be pretty flat, and then underneath it'll be filled in all those little grooves and crevices. But our surface will be good. Because, when you paint something, you want to rough the surface up so that way it has something to grip to. So this is what your food's going to be gripping to. All these little things, and we don't want that. So we're going to take the palm sander, like I said, 80 grit sandpaper, and we're just going to sand the crap out of it. Just to take those high spots off. That's all we want. Get the high spots off, kind of even it out a little bit, and I'll work on it for a few minutes, and then I'll show you what the result. So as you're sanding it, watch and look. You can see if you can see the swirls there where it's dark. Those are spots that it's not getting. Here in the center, since this pan is small and the diameter of this, the center is always being sanded, so you have to watch out for that. So kind of tip it on edge a little bit. And work in those spots where you can still see the dark, where it's not that even. We're just going to try to get it all similar. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're, again, knocking the high spots off. I also sand the bottom because I want the bottom, when it's on my burner, to be able to slide smoothly. You can see these Ozark Trails have the little logo on the bottom of them. So that's the bottom after it's sanded, and the inside, I think you can get the shine. You can see there's still some dark spots, but that's not so bad. We'll be able to fill those in easy. I don't know if I can get it to see, but I'm not not sanding it glass smooth. That actually will make it more difficult to season if it's glass smooth, because instead of the oil laying down in the grooves, it'll want to beat up, and then it just becomes a giant hassle and mess. And then I was going to show you, as a bonus, let's see, I found this out in the woods. It's an old cast iron one here at the house. It was out laying down. It's got 10 on it, SK, made in USA, and it looks like a D right here. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about cast iron, honestly, so I'm not sure what brand this is, unless SK means something. Maybe post in the comments if you know what it is. But it's pitted pretty bad. You can see down in here, there's some deep pitting. I'll end up hitting this with the big wire brush, knocking all the chunks off of it. And I know I can get it to season. We'll just have to see what it looks like when we're done. But that'll be a video coming up. So let's get in the house and get this pan to start seasoning. So the next step is wash it good with soap and water. Real good. You want to get all the graphite dust and everything from the cast iron that just sanded up out of there. So wash it really good. And so once you get it washed up, throw it on the stove, right on the stove top. I put it to medium heat. What this is going to do is heat up the pan, dry it out. Preheat your oven to 400. And if you're wondering what we're trying to achieve, this is what we're trying to achieve. So this is a Ozark Trail. This is their 12-inch that they sell, and this has quite a few coatings on it. I did the same thing that I'm going to do with this one. Sanded smooth, and I don't know how many coatings I have on it, but you can cook eggs almost with no oil without a problem. So as this pan warms up, the object is to put a light coating of oil. If you go too heavy, it beads up and it makes big dollops, big lumps on there. So we're going to heat it up. I've got you can see back here in this tray, there's it's basically a piece of t-shirt material that's soaked in oil but not saturated. I've got one piece inside. I fold that up and I just kind of wad it up in here. And once the pan's warmed up, we'll rub this on it all over, handle, top, bottom, sides, and get it to where it starts to smoke. Once we've got it smoking, then we pop it in the oven. That should be about enough time to get the oven preheated. And then you bake it for an hour. Pull it out, let it cool. I'm putting it outside. It's 32 degrees outside, so it'll cool off pretty fast. When it's cooled off, check it. If it's tacky, kind of sticky, then it needs to go back in the oven longer. You basically want it to be nice and smooth without any sticky or tackiness. You can't over-bake it, but you can under-bake it. That's my only hint or clue. I do have other hints and tips. Do not use paper towels. The surface on these are so rough. If you use paper towels, it just basically grinds the paper down and you get little fuzzies all over everything, and then they end up getting baked in. So avoid paper towels. Again, like I said, this is like t-shirt material. Came in a big giant bag of rags. You can get it at the hardware store in the paint department. Automotive places have them sometimes, but that's it. So you don't want to bake in all the fibers from a paper towel. So they say, oh, you gotta let it warm up, get the pores open. That's fine. We're just going to start putting oil on there. If there's it seems like you're not getting a very good coating, then go ahead and put a drop in there. Not a lot, just a drop. And then we'll smear that around. And you don't want this to be dripping wet. That will be a big mistake, and it'll actually cause problems. But we do want it to have a nice even coating. You don't want to be able to tip it and have it pouring. We're doing the top and the bottom all around. Every bit of it you want to coat. The bottom actually had started to rust, just flash rusted from that sanding and getting on the heat. But it's a flash rust, so it comes right off. But I'll oil this up. I'll kind of show you what we're going for. So you basically just want a light coating, no drips. If you turn it and you can see it pooling and moving, then there's way too much. And then you can see there's some paper towel that was left over. Get the handle, get the top to bottom, the sides. Now, I did not sand the sides. If you figure you're going to be cooking, you know, like cakes or something in here, definitely sand these sides. I have no intention of doing that, so I didn't sand it, but that means I'll probably end up doing that. So that's it. Really light coating. We're going to let it heat up till it starts to smoke, and then we'll pop it in the oven. I don't know if you can see it, but the oil is starting to turn brown in there. You can see it's browning up. It's no longer silver. That's what we want. This is kind of my cheating method, where you have it on the burner and you just kind of wipe some oil on there. Again, hopefully I didn't have my head in the way there for you. But you're just kind of wiping some oil on. You'll see it's coming off. But just want a nice light coating. And you're actually, I hate to say it turns into it's not a plastic, but it kind of plasticizes the surface. It's actually a non-stick, natural non-stick surface. Oh. But again, once this starts smoking, I'll pop it in the oven and we leave it in there for an hour. I'll pull it out and I'll show you what it looks like and what we do next. Don't know if you can see that it's smoking, but what I do now is I just take it's a slightly oiled rag. I use it to wipe them off and just kind of get rid of the excess. You don't want it pooling up. You don't want it dripping down. You're still leaving oil on there. Just a really light coat. And then we, it's hot enough. I need the mitt and into the oven. If you have a little bit extra on the bottom or the outsides, it's not going to matter. If it pulls up a little bit on the outside, it's not going to hurt anything. So set the timer for an hour and we come back. That's 1 hour at 400. It also smokes a bit, so do it when your wife's not home. I forgot to mention what kind of oil I'm using. You can read stuff on the internet. I know olive oil has a lower temperature of burning, so I would avoid olive oil. But I'm just using good old Crisco vegetable oil. It seems to work just fine. I've seen things say use flaxseed, and I've also seen them where they say don't use flaxseed. If you read enough, you've read too much, I think. So, pour yourself a drink, and in an hour, we'll be back. All right, since I'm recording this on my phone, I'm just going to not wait the hour and keep recording. But what you'll end up doing is you'll pull it out of the oven, let it cool off, and just start again. Light coating of oil, warm the pan up on the stovetop, light coating of oil, get it to where it starts smoking, flip it upside down and put it in there. So you can see this one. Again, I don't know how many coats, how many layers I've gotten onto this. It's probably 8 or 9. I've cooked in it. I've cooked eggs, I've cooked bacon, but the bottom is nice. It's still bumpy, but all the low spots are filling in good, and it's pretty much no stick. Like I said, eggs come off, bacon comes off really good. Nothing sticking too bad. And that's it. It's, as long as you don't get in there with something and gouge it or scrape it, it'll do good. You can see, I was talking about boogers on the side. I don't know if I can get it to where you can see that. There's a good chunk on this one that I didn't catch and see when I was doing it. It shouldn't affect anything unless I was thinking I was going to slide eggs out of the pan and flip them, but I won't be doing that with this one. So yeah, watch out for the big boogers on there. There's one on the bottom. It'll just mess you up for a while. So that's it. I'll do part 2. I'll show you that small one when it's done. And we will cook some eggs on the small one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and tell everybody. Tell all your friends. Thanks.